welcome back to the spoilerCast. I almost forgot what we're called. It's a show where we talk about movies, new and old, and we don't care about spoiling them because it is the spoilerCast. My name is Tobias, and with me as always is my sister and trusty co-host, Rebecca.
Hello.
Hello. And it is a new year, 2022, and a new time for movies. I didn't prepare an intro, so but we're starting off the year with a new movie, obviously. And we are talking today about the hotly anticipated, I suppose, Scream, or Scream 5, as it should have been called, because all the other Scream movies are numbered.
I suppose the Re-quel Scream, or Scream 2022, which some people call
Scream
it.
2022, yes, which is stupid because there aren't 2022 movies, so it should be called Scream 5.
Yes.
And we'll get into the whole Re-quel thing later because whatever. But before we get into that, I just want to mention that if we have a Patreon, if you want to support this show. And get a bunch of exclusives, commentary tracks, extra episodes, early access to my other podcast, the Madison Method, and a bunch of other stuff. Check out patreon.com/don'tmakeascene, which is our the whole collective name for all these things we make. There'll also be links, of course, everywhere. If you are a patron subscriber, not only do you get that extra episode and everything, you would also been able to listen to this episode all the way back on Monday when we're recording this. Because if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on all the major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever, it's Thursday. I mean, you could be listening to this 15 years from now, but it came out on Thursday.
We released it on Thursday, I'm not sure.
So on 20th.
Right.
No, 19th. Sorry.
Oh.
I can't... hold on. No, the 20th of January, 2022. So that as well. You will get this... Well, sometimes you get an early access to the Thursday episode. When it has to do with big releases like this. But...
When we are able to pre-record.
Of course, that as well. But all the other things...
You are able to suggest and make requests on movies that we talk about.
Yes, movies we talk about, or even, if you want to suggest a movie we do a commentary track for, we'll do that. And we're also going to start doing monthly commentary tracks this year. We've only done them sporadically before.
We're stepping it up.
That being said...
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. And let's get into Scream 5, or Scream 2022, whatever. So,
obviously, spoilers ahead.
Duh, it's a spoilerCast.
You cannot talk about Scream without talking about who the killer is eventually, so...
No, we will be doing that.
So spoilers.
However, will we talk much about the plot?
Maybe.
Because, I mean, as much as the plot is, important, I feel this wasn't as plot-heavy as the other ones. I mean, it's a bunch of teenagers, high schoolers, being chased by the Ghostface killer once again. But, it's like in all Scream movies, it's a new person behind the mask, but, the Ghostface killer. And they're trying to figure out who it is.
Yeah.
That's it. That's every Scream movie. They're being hunted by a serial killer who is someone they know. It's always someone you know. And they're trying to find out who it is. That's it. That is the plot. Well, not getting killed, yes. This one has a couple of twists. Which would be more suited for the end of a trilogy. Because it harkens back to the first one, which they kind of talk about in the third Scream movie. By the way, we did when the first trailers for this came out. What, 6 months ago? No, not even that. Maybe 3 or 4 months ago. October, right?
Autumn, sometime.
Yeah, we did an episode where we talked about Scream 1 through 4 because we're both big fans of the entire franchise.
Indeed.
So if you want to hear our opinions on the first 4 movies, check out that episode.
I mean, we'll mention things here probably
Of
because
course, of course.
I kind of want to rank them all.
We could do that. I will do that in the end, then I suppose.
Yeah.
But let's get more into Scream,
The movie.
the movie. So, first of all, like we always do, I'll just ask you, what did you think of it? What did you think of Scream 5?
I was pleasantly surprised because
Okay.
I was afraid it would suck.
That was my initial worry as well.
But it didn't. It
Nope.
didn't suck. Not completely.
I,
There are issues, obviously.
sure, issues, yes, but I would
But
go
there are
as,
also things I really liked.
yeah, and I agree. For the most part,
It's slightly above mid-tier, I guess.
yeah, and we'll like we said, I almost said like it's actually, and I was almost gonna rank it, but we'll save that for later
Yes.
then. But what was it? What was it? Well, let's begin then with the bad stuff. Well, what didn't you like about it?
Mostly, actually, some of the acting performances.
Yeah,
The script in itself wasn't that bad.
script is. I would say the script is good.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things are necessary in that too, but the
Sure.
main issue is the acting.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's. I think it's mainly the actors and not actually the director.
I
two
have
directors, right? Yeah.
the directors. I've only seen. I don't know if they made more movies, but they made the movie Ready or Not like a couple of years ago. Whatever they're called, Matt Benitelli Olpin and Tyler Gillett, and I'm pretty sure they made that Ready or Not movie. Yes, they did. They made a couple of more movies, but that was their big breakthrough. Yeah, Ready or Not. Have you seen that one?
Did actually. Sometime last year.
Yeah, me
I
too.
watched it for the first time.
Yeah. And I wasn't a
And
huge fan of that. It was pretty good, but I definitely preferred Scream 5 over that.
Yeah.
And that was we won't talk too much about that, but I thought it was
No, but I-
a fun concept that was ruined by some twist towards the end.
Yeah, but again, I don't think that's the directing issue. I think that's the writing issue.
Who wrote Ready or Not? Then?
I have no clue.
Guy Busick, who wrote this movie as well. I don't know. Very
Maybe I mean, Scream. You have source material. You have a lot of source material to go
yes. Well,
by, which
yeah,
probably helps.
the problem with Ready or Not, and why I was a little worried going in, having them, both the directors and the writer from Ready or Not, was that I thought that movie was clumsy. It was too on the nose. It felt very juvenile in its message. I mean, the plot there is newlyweds.
Well, actually, they're getting married.
Well, they get
at the first
yeah.
part
Well,
of the movie.
it's the day of their marriage, and the woman in this couple is she's marrying into a very wealthy family, and they have a tradition. Whenever a new person joins the family, they play a game of hide and seek.
They play a game and they pull a card from.
All right, yeah. This time
Whatever.
it's hide and seek, but the thing is, you
Yeah.
know, so everyone's seeking for the bride. If they find her, they'll kill her. And it's such an obvious dig at the upper class and how detached they
Yeah.
are from reality, and it. Well, we're talking about Ready or Not now, but I just need to get that off my chest about the clumsiness, because in the end, it's literally like a demon. Spoilers
Yeah.
for Ready or Not, I suppose. This is a spoiler cast, so. But because they talk about, we have to appease this demon that has brought us good fortune, but we need to play this game every time someone joins the family to appease the demon. And they're like, and the bride is like, okay, whatever, I'll play along with you. But then in the end, when they don't kill her, a demon punishes them by killing them.
Yeah.
And you're like, so the problem wasn't that they were, I mean, sure, the problem was they were greedy enough to
Make a deal with this demon.
sure, but I mean that anyone would do that. That's the whole thing with demons. They trick people
Yeah.
into making demons. I guess that's the devil, but demons, devil, whatever.
shit.
Yeah. So it wasn't really the fucking rich people, as she literally says in that movie. It's the fact that they were tricked by a demon to join a deadly deal with it.
That's a very weird twist.
Yes, I
At the
didn't,
end.
I didn't like that.
No.
So it was clumsy. It was on the nose. I mean, it was a fun concept, and it was an okay movie.
Yeah.
But there in that one, the writing suffered.
Yes.
Here, the writing was good.
Again, though, because they had so much source material to go by.
Yes, and more or less only one person had been, except for number 3. All the earlier movies were written by Kevin Williamson.
Right.
And I don't know if he might have been involved in number 3, but I know that Aaron Kruger is credited as writer on number 3. Why? I guess spoilers for our ranking later, but that's why number 3 is like in the bottom, at least for the original trilogy.
I mean, we've mentioned that in the previous episode.
Yes, of course. But here, and also then the next thing is that every other Scream movie have been directed and produced by Wes Craven. And he has a very specific style. You can definitely tell when it is a Wes Craven movie, and he added a lot to the Scream franchise, both as a director and a producer. And since he unfortunately passed away in 2015, 14, I don't remember.
I believe it's 15. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I
15.
was 2015. Yeah. I was a little worried that this would not meet the standards of his filmmaking.
Yeah.
And while the directing might falter a little bit, I think the writing part is up there. And of course, he was involved in the writing, but he was never credited as a writer, I think.
No, I think he had like the main idea or something.
I think something like that.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Actually, I heard that some of the actors were also a bit like, well, it's not Wes Craven directing. Are we really going to do this?
Yeah, especially the older, the legacy actors. Yeah.
Which is understandable.
It is understandable, but it also the fact that this movie comes out more than 10 years, but it was supposed to come out last year, so 10 years after the fourth one, which came out 10 years after the end of the trilogy.
Yeah.
So and Scream has always been about, the meta context of the movies. It's a movie about movies. It's a movie about movie tropes and cliches. And they're like literally the murderers in the movies are aware of the pitfalls a movie murderer should avoid, so they avoid that, but then they fall into other it's which is a lot of fun, and it's always been very cleverly written, except for the third one. And that's why you have the first movie, which is all about like deconstructing slashers. Like instead of having vapid, annoying characters that you want to die, they're actually more or less like fleshed out characters that you care for, that are smart. They're not just like there to party and get murdered. The second one then deals with sequels, because it's literally a sequel to the murders in the first movie, in the reality of the movie. And then the third one then deals with how you end a trilogy, and how a trilogy has to like harken back to the origins of the first one, and even goes into the backstory of the first one, which then has to do with the fact that the murder in that one is Sidney's like illegitimate half-brother or something. The director of Stab 2 or 3 they're making in that one. Which Stab is the version of Scream in the movie Scream.
Yes.
And there it was wrapped up. Because a trilogy is a trilogy. It's one of the magic numbers. You have 3, 7, 9, I think, and 11 are magic numbers, something like that, especially in movies. So when they made the fourth one, I was worried back then as well, but at least Wes Craven was still involved, and Kevin Williamson came back as writer, and they dealt with the whole revival sequel thing in that one, like coming back 10 years later, having a new generation of characters, but also bringing back the older characters. So it dealt with like the changing landscape in horror movies. Like nowadays, it's all about like they had live streaming, they had more of they had the torture porn genre to deal with. And it once again managed to deal with that in the very like Scream-esque fashion. So then fast forward another 10 years, and the concept in this one is a legacy sequel, a revival sequel / Re-quel, as they call it. Yeah. And it's kind of the same concept as the fourth one. So in
With,
that way,
some updated rules.
sure. And it's more of a, as they call it, requel.
Yeah.
But this was the first time that the concept felt a little stale, because it's basically the same concept as the fourth movie.
Yeah. Except for the fact that they are setting this up to be a new trilogy, which they did not do with the fourth one.
They do?
It feels like it, at least.
Yeah, it's leaving it open for a sequel at least, but I hope they don't make it
No, I
two
hope
more
not.
movies.
But
well,
I mean, like,
honestly, like, if they're gonna make, because this is a franchise where all the sequels are good, even the third one is okay. Like, this isn't, and it hasn't been watered down. They haven't done 10 movies yet. They've only made 5 in almost 30 years.
Yeah.
25 years, basically. So I guess I could see another sequel as long as they're as good. But I'm, quit while you're ahead, I would say.
Well, yeah. The only reason I'm saying that they're putting it up for sequels or possibly another trilogy is because a lot of people survived.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of new people survived.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't really that many
Scream
killings
4,
in
not
the movie.
a lot of the people survived, right?
No, most of the characters die in number 4.
Yeah. Except for a little Easter egg in this one, in Scream 5. Kirby is alive.
Yeah, the lieutenant who is secretly in love with... Oh.
Kirby, as in Hayden Panettiere's character from number 4.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Was she
I
in
missed
this
that
movie?
completely. No, she's not in the movie.
Oh.
But when they're someone's looking at like a YouTube clip reviewing Stab 8.
Oh, okay.
In the side, where like recommended videos, there's an interview with the survivor from the Woodboro murders, Kirby.
Well,
I totally missed that, but I checked out a bunch of videos before this, obviously, because
Okay.
we saw it on Friday, so I had to like refresh my memory slightly.
Yeah.
And so many pointed that out. So apparently, Kirby's alive.
Well, I'm very happy then, because in the fourth one, the best new character is Kirby.
Oh yes.
God damn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even I had a crush on her.
Yeah, I won't repeat, but you can listen to why I like Kirby in the fourth one. Jesus Christ, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're like, that's like one of the few people that survived, except for the legacies, obviously.
Yeah, and then the lieutenant who is secretly in love with Deputy Dewey, in the fourth one, who is now sheriff in the fifth one.
Yeah. In fifth.
Yeah. It was fun though, because she was like a new character. She wasn't a new like main character in the fourth one. She was just a side character. So but it was fun that they included her in this one. And she wasn't just there to like, oh, remember me from the fourth one. No, she was actually a character in the story. So let's talk about that.
First.
Oh yeah.
To ask, what did you think?
Yes, yeah, I know. But we kind of like just spun on.
Yeah.
I liked it quite a bit. I have recently started using Letterboxd a lot. Which
yes.
I'll link to my Letterboxd. I'll link to yours as well if you want to. I know you're not as active.
Mine isn't that fleshed out yet, so we'll see about that.
Sure. But I mean, there you rate them 1 to 5 stars. I mean, you technically can do 0 stars, but I don't do that.
Yeah.
And I gave it 3.5. That's like a 7, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I liked it quite a bit. I mean, I don't have a lot to complain about. The same thing as you said. The main actors
isn't the best.
No, the acting isn't great, but I think that's more of a problem that we're so used to the older characters. Like we've had Sidney and Gail and Dewey in all 4 movies up to this point, and they're still in this movie, and they're still like well-written characters. So to have like a completely new batch of characters, having a lot more autonomy or whatever you want to call it in the movie, because in the fourth one, the new characters were intermingling a lot with the old characters. They were still like an integral part of the story. Here, except for Dewey, they're mainly in the last act. They're kind of like it's kind of like when the Ghostbusters show up in Afterlife. Like, here we are, but in a good way. In a good way. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can check out our Ghostbusters Afterlife episode if you want to. If you want to hear us. Ghost Bastards. Yeah, that's what I would call that movie. Whatever. You're talking about like just shoving in characters because, well, they have to be in the new one as well. No.
Yeah.
Here they are definitely sidelined by the new characters, but they do fill a purpose.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, so I think it's more of a problem with that these are the new characters, and I'm like instinctively rejecting them, I think. But also, I looked it up. I'm older than every one of the new characters, even like the old guy, who they call like Dad. Yeah. Which is funny enough, he is not even the oldest one. The oldest one is the main character, whatever her name is.
Sam.
Yeah, she's actually the oldest one. She's a year younger than me. Well, give or take a few months.
Yeah.
So I guess it's also a little that, like, I can't stand teenagers, especially that age that they're supposed to be, like 17, 18. Like, fuck off. And especially this new generation of teenagers. I'm technically millennial, but I'm more of a boomer, so I can't stand Generation Z. I'm sorry. So it was very hard to like empathize with these characters for the most part. I don't know, sometimes, but for the most part, they feel like they all are well-written characters.
Sure.
It's just
some of them.
It's just like Randy in number 1 and 2, and his little cameo number 3. Yeah. He is me if I was able to like roam free when it came to movies.
Yes.
And we don't have characters like that anymore. The Randy character in this one is some fucking like casual fake movie buff asshole that I couldn't stand her. I'm sorry.
No, she's not casual movie buff. She is a movie buff, but she's pretentious.
Yeah.
In a bad way.
Yeah, she's pretentious when it comes to slashers. Like, come on.
Yeah.
What are you getting at here? I didn't like her.
You know what the worst part is?
I didn't dislike her, but it was not like, ooh, it was like, ugh.
I looked at a few like interviews with the cast just because that comes up when you search for it on YouTube. She is a lot like her character in real life, it seems like. She was just as pretentious and annoying. Which I haven't seen her in anything else. I don't know what she's done, but I wasn't a fan of her.
The only one I recognized was what's his name, Dylan something. No, not Dylan.
Minette, yeah.
Yeah, it's Dylan Minette. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the guy from 13 Reasons Why. And a bunch of other stuff.
But I recognize him from Don't Breathe. I don't think I've seen him in anything else.
Oh yeah, he's in that.
Because I think I've only seen like 1 or 2 episodes of 13 Reasons Why. Then I turned off that toxic garbage.
Yeah. Just side note, don't watch that show.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't watch it. I don't understand how there are 3 seasons of that show, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Anyway, we're not going to talk about.
Let's not talk about that
one. Oh, he's in Prisoners, but it's like almost 10 years ago since I saw that, so I don't remember him. Anyway, where were we? Right. So yeah, my main qualm about the movie are the new characters and some of the writing. But I mean, it's written for a modern crowd, and I am not. I guess I'm not no longer the target audience for Scream movies. It's targeted at the new generation, while the original trilogy is definitely more for my generation, even though I'm technically a little too young to watch them when they came out.
Well, yeah, but I was even younger, and I still feel like I'm more of their target audience.
Yeah, and then the 4th one was kind of transitional. Here, it's all the new characters, and I couldn't really. I couldn't immerse myself in these new characters.
No, they. I don't know if. I feel like there were too many of them, to be honest. I didn't feel like we didn't have time to get to know them enough.
But because the original, there are 2 couples. It's Stu and whatever Rose McGowan's character is called.
Yeah.
And then there's Billy and Sidney, of course, and then Randy. Yeah, 5 characters.
Yeah, there's 5 people.
Here we had the twins, the sisters, Sam and whatever.
Tara, I think. Then we have
Sam's boyfriend.
Yeah, and the
and the
twin's
ex or
girlfriend
whatever. Oh yeah, and the guy twin.
has a girlfriend.
Wes, the ex-boyfriend or ex-friend or whatever. I don't know.
Wait, we have 1, 2, 3. Amber? Oh my god, this is
Amber was
annoying.
the most vapid one, the white lady.
Yeah.
Which is the
No,
twin
Amber
boys.
is the other one.
Oh right, so then
She's
there's
the douchey best friend who's like
right.
overprotective of Tara.
So it's the twins, the sisters, Sam and Tara.
Yes.
Amber, the friend. Wes, the guy friend slash ex-boyfriend of someone.
No, love interest for Tara.
Right, but they never do anything.
No, but he's in love with Tara.
Oh, right,
apparently.
right. And then the boy twin
His
girlfriend. Yeah, so 7 characters. No, and then Sam's boyfriend, Jack Wade.
So 8 characters.
8 characters.
New characters.
8 new characters.
Plus 4 legacies.
Plus 4 legacy characters. Like, that's too many characters to have as main... And they all, at one point or another, are the main character.
So it gets very thinned out when we try to understand anything about them.
Yeah.
Like, the twin boy's girlfriend. I don't even remember her name.
No, I don't know.
Liv. Oh my god, we should remember that name. Liv,
yeah, we have a cousin called...
wannabe Bella Thorne?
I guess, yeah. But
Looks like
just annoying. I mean, Bella Thorne is annoying as well, but even more annoying.
Yeah, but with the hair and the stuff, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And she has this moment with, there's an ex-boyfriend who's stalking her.
Yeah.
But that's all we get from her.
Yeah.
What was the point of that? Could we just skip her and have, like, Amber be the girlfriend instead and just cut one person out?
Yeah, that could have worked. Or the twins could have been one character.
Yeah.
Why did we need 2? Because...
Diversity? I'm not sure.
Well... It's
change out Minetti and make him a black dude,
I don't
and
know,
then we have diversity.
Diversity, I don't know, whatever. It's too many characters, and
there's too many characters.
They don't feel purpose. Like Tara, as much as she's like the main character in the beginning, then it becomes Sam, her sister. Like, she's pointless in the movie.
She
doesn't really feel purpose.
In it,
yeah, because
for being hurt.
Yeah, she is the Drew Barrymore character in the beginning.
Only she survives.
Only she survives, so she has to be in the rest of the movie, but 80% of that time she's in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you could have skipped that character. She's really only there so we can find out that Sam, the real main character, her older sister, is actually only her half-sister, and she is actually the daughter of Billy Loomis. Ooh, which is the big reveal in this one.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you could have had that even if she died in the first scene, though, because she could have had to come back to Woodsboro for the funeral.
Yeah, of course. And then she could have told her friends, like,
yeah,
I am Billy Loomis's daughter.
Because this is why this is happening. Oh my god. Well, she thinks that's why this is happening.
Ja, exactly. Ja, precis.
Ja, precis. Exakt.
And that is my other gripe with this. Like, it's becoming even though the older movies are kind of like silly and a little sappy, almost like almost a little bit like a soap opera with the characters and all the Sidney's mom and her escapades before Sidney was born and whatever.
Yes.
Having the new main character be the illegitimate daughter of the murderer in the first movie is just like, you're pushing it.
Yeah.
Because then it turns out that Billy Loomis, around the same time of the first movie, or I guess right before the first movie happened, had another girlfriend or just a casual relationship with someone and got them pregnant. And then he died, and no one looked into that because maybe the woman didn't really want to talk about her having sex with a psycho serial killer, but
having his child.
Yeah, exactly.
Poor baby.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, it's a little, and she's having like visions of Billy Loomis.
Yeah, because she's psychotic, which apparently Billy was as well. sort of.
Yeah, I mean, what he did was pretty psychotic, but I don't know if you would if he was like clinically psychotic. They never go into that.
No.
But yeah, she's having visions of him. She's taking like antipsychotic medicine, I suppose. Some sort of medicine. We never see her actually mention what it is. She says okay. But it's kind of
on point.
Yeah, because she keeps seeing him, and it's him from the very end of Scream 1. So he's got the 90s, kind of like my hairdo actually, but longer.
With the bloody shirt.
The bloody shirt, the blood on his cheek, or chin, whatever.
Somewhere in
his face. Yeah. And I think that's it. I haven't looked into the credits, but that is Skeet Ulrich, right? And they just de-aged him, I suppose.
See, the thing is, when they released the trailers and when like everyone starts knowing that, oh my god, there's another Scream coming, they sort of advertised that he would be in it, as well as Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, Stu, the other killer from the first one, Stu Macher or Shoemaker.
Was he though? I did not see Stu anywhere. The only like cameo we have is that apparently his nephew is in the movie.
Yes. Okay.
Which doesn't make sense to me again.
That's the other thing that I didn't like about this, which was just silly, and it was the worst little writing thing they did. The stocky weirdo ex-boyfriend, or the summer fling of Liv, was Stu Macher's sister's son. Why?
He didn't even share the name. His character is called Vince Schneider.
Yeah.
Couldn't they have called him Macher at least to like make it more obvious?
I don't know, but like adding...
Also, waste of talent. Why would they put Kyle Gallner as him? And
yeah, because he's like, barely in the movie. And he's a fine actor, you know.
Yeah.
But having him be related to one of the killers in the original is like why? What is the point of that? Because he's dispensed. I think it's only because the killer only kills people who are related to the original characters, so they had to make him related somehow. But it's just like, what are the odds? They couldn't
just cut him at all, completely. Then
what are the odds that the daughter of Billy Loomis befriends the girl who one summer has a fling with the nephew of Stu Macher? What are the odds? I mean, okay, they all live in Woodsboro, but she met him over the summer, apparently somewhere else? That's not told, but I mean, it's like she was away for the summer and met someone else.
It's such an unnecessary point.
Yeah, it's pointless. It's just like... That was one piece of like, I remember, I got a clap for that felt unnecessary.
Yeah. It's stupid.
Yeah, that's stupid. Well, but going back to member berries and references, I gotta say, this movie did references and fan service the right way.
Except for that one, yes.
Except for that one, and the fact that the third act takes place in the original house, which was
I like that.
Yeah, but the only reason it takes place in that house is so they can say, oh my god, it's Stu Macher's house from the first one. It didn't have to be that house. It didn't need to be. It was only so Gail and Sidney could say, we're back at it, and cock their guns and walk in there, you know. It was like, ugh, come on.
I mean, it also added that tiny little bit about why Amber did what she did. Because she says that, like,
I mean, she still lives in Woodsboro. Since we bought
this house.
Yeah, but she still lived in Woodsboro, knew about the murder, so.
True,
but
I guess.
Other than that, all the legacy characters, all the references to the old movies, all the little, like, member berries, like, oh, gotta clap. They're not just there to be gotta clap for that moments, or I remember that. They fill a purpose, and that is fan service done the right way. It's not just the Millennium Falcon because it's the Millennium Falcon. It fills a purpose. The Millennium Falcon could have been any ship in The Force Awakens, but we had to have the Millennium Falcon because it's Star Wars. Here, Dewey doesn't just appear in the movie because, well, we gotta have Dewey in the movie. That's, what's his name?
David Arquette?
David Arquette's character, yeah. You know, Deputy Dewey. He fills a purpose in the movie.
Yeah.
He is the kind of, like, passing the torch character. And he's also the one, they can up the stakes by killing one of the legacy characters. Well, technically two, but he's a real legacy character.
Yeah. I was about to call her Deputy Bunny, but that's not her name.
No. Sheriff shit. What is her name?
No. Jesus. The hell? Deputy Judy Hicks. Well, Sheriff Judy Hicks.
Sheriff Judy Hicks, yeah.
She is technically as deputy.
Well, she is sheriff.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Anyway, well, she's a legacy character and she gets killed, but I mean, she's only been in the 4th movie, so it's not.
Yeah, she's not been in all of them.
When they kill Dewey, who has technically already died twice in the franchise, but then came back as, I sustained life-threatening damages, but I survived. No.
And then those life-threatening damages are gone. He doesn't have a limp or anything by now. So
he manages that he has nerve damage because he doesn't.
He doesn't see it.
No, but he doesn't limp in the 3rd or 4th movie either. So I guess it was kind of a hindrance for his character in the 2nd movie that he couldn't run properly.
Yeah,
made sense though. That was a nice touch in the 2nd movie that. There were, of course, emotional scars, but also, physical scars on our characters from the 1st movie. They're kind of gone here. We do have the emotional scars left. Sidney, even though she's kind of more free since the end of the 3rd one, where she kind of, she lets go of her past, even though she then 10 years later...
open or whatever it is.
Even though 10 years later she has to relive it all, but I guess she's...
well, that one she kind of finalized by the 4th movie, so...
Yeah.
It's fine.
And here, she's living like a normal person, but you can definitely see not PTSD, but when Dewey calls her, says someone's killing people in a ghost face mask again. She's like,
it's on. She's like, oh shit.
She snaps back into it and of course I got a gun. I'm Sidney fucking Prescott.
Yeah.
So the writing of the old characters, legacy characters, is consistent, and they fill a purpose. Maybe not Sidney, because Dewey specifically tells her stay away, and she still turns up in the end. I mean, she's there to console Gail. Because even though Dewey and Gail had separated or divorced, which I didn't like. That's another problem with making too many sequels. They lived happily ever after. They got married in the 3rd one, or he proposed. They got engaged in the 3rd one. They lived in from what I understand, a happy marriage for 10 years in the 4th one, even though she was frustrated by being stuck in her career, not with their marriage. But now in the 4th one, they have separated. They've divorced. He has retired because he became an alcoholic after they divorced. So now he, instead of living in a nice house with the woman he loves, he lives alone in a dirty trailer park.
Yeah.
He's like, why did you have to do this to this character? He was fine in the 4th one.
I mean, to be honest though, if someone had to have finally get shit on and die, it's Dewey. You can only survive so many times.
Yeah, but that's...
Gail and Sidney never sustained those levels of injuries.
No, I know. But I mean, that's why...
I think they even called it, as soon as I heard this one was coming out, I was like, okay, so Dewey has to die this time.
Yeah, a lot of people saying, please, 2 things. Please don't let Dewey be the murderer, which was a theory floating around. And also, please don't kill Dewey. But no, Dewey died.
Yeah, a lot of the short reviews I watched were like, I hated that they killed Dewey.
And I mean,
he survived everything else. He could have survived this too. I was like, no, I liked that they killed him.
They eviscerate him in this one. They gut him, literally gut him. But they, in a way, it's it's contrived that he shot the murderer at the hospital in the scene. And they're all gonna run away, but he's like, no, I gotta stay. They always come back otherwise. So he goes back to shoot him again, the murderer. And then the murderer gets up and with 2 knives just slit him open from butt to mouth, basically. Just open him up. And he's like, no, why? But at least, he got to go out in in proper Scream fashion. He died brutally, at least.
That was one of the scenes that I was mostly annoyed with. Not that he died or how he died, but just before that.
Yeah.
There is a moment where he's standing there just looking at the knocked out murderer. And I was like, what's stopping you from just reaching out and pulling up the mask? I know it would ruin the movie.
Yeah.
But Jesus fucking Christ, it annoyed me that he just didn't, right then and there, shoot him in the head once.
Yes.
Or pull up the mask.
Yeah. That could have been a nice nod to the first one, because when Drew Barrymore dies, she pulls... I think it's Drew Barrymore. She pulls off the mask. We don't see who it is.
Off
but,
the mask, yeah. She sees it, but we don't.
Yeah. And she even, like, reacts, because she knows Billy Loomis.
Yeah.
Because they go to some same classes, whatever.
Same school, at least.
Same school, yeah. In this one, they could have done... He pulls off the mask and he says, "You?" And then he dies.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been too on the nose, but it would have been a nice callback to the original. I mean, they already had a bunch of those, so why not? I don't know. But yeah, at least as the knives go in and they cut open the stomach, the murderer says, "It's been an honor to kill you," basically.
Which is also a nice thing.
Okay, that's a nice touch,
It is an honor to be the one who actually gets to kill him, who finally gets to kill him.
Gets to kill Dewey. Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but I mean, someone has to die, and to up the stakes, you have to kill some of the legacy characters, and you're not going to kill Sidney. Sidney's...
No.
I mean, well, she's eventually gonna... If they keep making sequels, she's going to die eventually.
Yes.
They're going to have to kill her off.
Gail has to die, and then the one after that, Sidney has to die. You cannot keep going.
But problem is then it becomes, cliche, and we just expect people to die. Here we didn't expect him to die. But when it happened, it was like, yeah, it makes sense. But it was still like, I had an emotional reaction. It was like, I don't know, maybe you didn't hear because it was a lot of music, but I was like, oh no, when he died. Oh no.
Poor Dewey.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't care, because when Dewey survived in the second time he survived, I was like, come on, dude.
Yeah, because they like slit his back open in the second one as well. It's like, Jesus Christ, how did he survive that?
Come on.
He slumps down on the glass wall and you see all the blood. Yeah, how did he survive? But he's back in the third one.
He survives everything.
Exactly.
Apparently. So I like that he died.
He survives and he's in the sixth one. No, I don't think so.
No.
No. This was like a permanent end.
They rolled him out in a body bag.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we do see the body bag, right?
That's why Gail is collapsing.
Yeah.
That's the only reason Sidney does come back, I think.
Yeah, she's there to console Gail and to make sure, this ends.
Yeah.
That was another, not like a meta movie thing, but it was like a meta thing, like commentating on, like, how what's happening in Scream is supposed to be real, even though it's in the reality of the movie, it's real. When Gail and Sidney tell Sam that, like, we're going to help you take this fucker down, she's like, you want me to help you commit murder? No.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, that's right. Like, people are very casually killing people in the Scream. I mean, in every movie, I mean, but even if it's self-defense.
Specifically, Sidney and Gail have become very casual about killing people.
And listen, self-defense is one thing, and it's definitely like a defense. But I mean, both Sidney and Gail should have done some prison time, even though it's self-defense. It's still killing a person.
Emptying a mag into someone?
Yes.
That's beyond self-defense. That's overkill.
Yes. And that is a crime. But I mean, it's a movie, so. But it was just a funny thing that Sam was like, you want me to murder someone? No, I'm not going to do that. Well, but then she ends up doing it.
Yes, I was about to say that.
Even more viciously.
Her killing, the scene she kills someone, I did not like that. The way she did it. She channeled her father.
Yes, that's the whole thing. Like,
and I'm like, a little bit too much on the nose. The whole wiping the knife and everything is like...
A little too much, yes.
Why? I get that you're, like, upset and you want to make sure this fucker is dead, so you stab him, like, 700 times.
Yeah.
But why just, like, be almost satisfied with the killing and then wiping the knife?
It was to show that she is Billy Loomis's child.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, come on.
I mean, he even says, like, you need to like bring out the rage of your forefathers, basically, and kill this bastard. And he's like, okay. Not specifically that, but basically that's what he's saying.
Yes. I just thought that was a bit much.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the gore or violence in this one.
Oh, yes.
I mean, the Scream movies have always been... I liked it too, because the Scream movies has always been kind of conservative, but had like a couple of scenes that are really gross.
They are slashers without being gross.
Yeah. There aren't any like super inventive kills. They're mostly just stabbings.
Yeah.
But like in the first one, we do see Drew Barrymore hanging from a tree with her guts spilling out.
Yes. We have Tatum being crushed by a
garage door.
What's it called? Garage door.
Yeah.
Tatum, by the way, is the name of the sister that we forgot.
Yeah. No, by Stu's girlfriend. Oh my god.
Yeah, but she's Dewey's sister.
Dewey's sister? Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Because he has a plaque that says Tatum in his trailer.
Right.
I just remember that. Whatever. I think those are the like main like gory kills in the first one.
In the first one, yeah. In the second one, you have Dewey's death.
Yes.
With all the blood on the window or whatever. Yeah, I guess that's only like gore one in the second one.
Basically.
The third one doesn't really have any.
No, they don't have gores. They have explosions.
Right, that's the action movie. I forgot.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one you have when they kill the friend who lives, who's the neighbor to whatever the
Jill
girl is called, Roberts.
Yeah, Jill, I think.
Yeah, Jill. Yes, Jill. When she gets like stabbed, there's like blood all over the walls, and her body is just splayed out on the bed. And this one as well, even more than the other ones, had a lot of like violent murders.
Yes.
Like when Tara gets stabbed in the beginning, she stabbed. Do they say 17 times?
No, 7 times. I think
7 times. Okay, but
then the killer steps on her leg.
Yeah, and snaps the leg. Yeah.
Stabs her right through her hand.
Yeah.
Jesus style.
Yeah, it's gonna stab her in the face, and she holds up her hand. And it's really violent. You like hear her scream as the knife just goes in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's super disgusting. And I mean, I watch a lot of like splatter movies and horror movies and stuff. I recoiled at the violence in this one in a good way.
The broken bone, I had to look away because I could not stand bone sticking out.
I don't like broken bones.
That's the worst thing, basically.
And then in the end, I guess we'll get to the reveal, but in the end, when Sam kills the killer, and he's like screaming for her to stop as she just stabs him over and over and over and over and over. I was just like, whoa, what the fuck? That was the horror bit in this movie. Like, it was creepy. How much they stabbed each other.
Also, the Hicks family's deaths were kind of gory as well.
Oh yeah.
When Wes gets stabbed through the neck,
and it comes
side,
out.
And it comes right.
It was really gross, and it was nice because I think they actually put like a prosthetic piece of neck and just stabbed through that because there was no CGI knife or anything. It didn't look like it, at least, which is very nice. Good.
Same with then killing the mother just outside before that, just stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. I mean, there wasn't a close-up on that one.
No, but we see close-up of the mask and just hearing the knife just go in and out, in and out, in and out. It was just like, oh, Jesus. Which makes sense when we find out who the killers are, because one of them is, like, nuts.
Yes. I mean, they're both kind of nuts. But
yes, but especially...
Spoiler, obviously there's 2 killers.
Well, yeah, it's almost always 2 killers, right? Not in the third one.
No, I think the third one's the only one that doesn't have 2 killers.
Yeah, once again, the third one sticks out.
Technically, you have 2 killers, but then the one killer kills the other killer because, there can only be one person alive. There can only be a final girl.
Yeah. So, the problem is, like, revealing the killers in this doesn't make a lot of sense because the characters aren't really that interesting. But it's Tara's friend Amber and Sam's boyfriend Jack Quaid. Richie, right. And it's just like, oh, you?
I mean, I kind of guessed it, but I wasn't sure.
Listen, that's part of the fun watching these movies. I suspected everyone at some point.
Sure, yes.
I suspected Tara. I even leaned over to you and said, maybe it's Tara. I'm like,
and I was like, no, it's not Tara. I know it's not going to be Tara.
No, I guess not, yeah.
But as in the hospital, when Sam and Richie get there and they're all kind of introduced.
Yeah.
And Amber goes, when they're like asked to leave, and Amber goes, let's go Netflix. I was like, why does she hate him so much?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
there's no reason for her to hate him that much, unless it's a ruse.
Yeah, because they try to play it off that she's overprotective.
Yeah. But it doesn't really come off as that.
No.
Because she's not overprotective in any other scene, basically.
Not really. Except for she suspects everyone at some point, I suppose.
Yeah, but so does everyone else. So.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, that's part of the Scream charm.
Yeah,
and I think they do a good job with that as well. Everyone seems suspect at one point or another. Like early on, we see
for Wes and Chad, in my opinion. Chad's the twin brother.
No, because early on we see he has bruises on his arm. He's like, oh, it's from practice. We get kind of rough. He's like, sure. It's not where Tara grabbed you as you stabbed her 7 times, right?
But at the same time, nah, that makes sense. He's just a himbo, basically.
Yeah, but I thought like he was being coerced into killing by his girlfriend or something. That was my idea at first.
Maybe,
because Liv has motive as well. She's like the one that the group doesn't really like. She's just the girlfriend of the friend, you know. So definitely
they have a weird relationship because they haven't had sex yet, and she's all coy and strange, I suppose. I don't know. She seems like she's just tagging along.
Yeah, and she kind of not disappears, but they don't really care about her for a while, and then she pops up again at the party in the end.
Yeah.
And then of course the movie geek girl, the other twin, because she likes to stab movies. So just like how how Randy is a prime suspect in the first movie.
Yeah, the way she talks about some of the things.
Yeah. Like
she's the one who's pointing out all these rules, going like, that was test.
Yeah.
She's testing all her friends on whether they're like go alone down into the basement, doing a Tatum basically.
Oh yeah,
she's just going down to the basement to get a beer.
When she's
to the garage, but it's the same.
It's the same setup, basically.
It's the same. It's the same stairs, even I think, but I'm not sure. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
There's shorter stairs.
She's going down into the basement, not the garage. Yeah.
But she, like the whole that was a test. You should have walked alone. And then they're standing there doing like this standoff.
They don't trust each other.
Killer,
which is kind of funny looking back at it because one of them is the actual killer.
Yeah. But it's also a little bit. If you're not the killer, then stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. Don't be that creepy.
And then, of course, Sam is an obvious suspect since she is literally the daughter of the original killer.
And conveniently shows up in town the day after the first.
Exactly. And then the boyfriend who, I don't know anything about the Woodsboro murder, so I don't know what you. The
boyfriend is always the main prime suspect.
That's, in the first one it's the boyfriend, in the second one it's the boyfriend's friend, or the group, friend, whatever, Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's the first. Literally, Dewey called it. The first second he meets the gang,
the boyfriend.
He meets Richie and Sam first. He's like, maybe it's you. It's
always
the boyfriend. Yeah. She's like 6 months. He's like, and like, he was right because we already said it. It's Richie and Amber, right? Sorry.
Yeah, it's Richie and Amber. Apparently, they're a couple. They met online on Reddit.
Yeah.
Or some forum. I'm guessing it's Reddit or something.
Yeah, some sort of stab subreddit. They talk about a stab forum. I'm guessing it's a subreddit. Nobody goes to forums anymore. Reddit is taken over, which is sad,
but I guess they couldn't say that.
Yeah. But they could say Netflix a bunch.
Well,
this is not a Netflix movie, but whatever. Yeah. So the motive for the killings in this, it's not great.
No.
Amber wants to do it because she became obsessed with the Woodsboro murders when she moved into Stu Maker's old house.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess she was already kind of, I'm guessing she was kind of unstable because she seems wacky.
She seems a bit off.
Which is kind of funny because she is the crazy hippie in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh,
The
yeah,
one who
that's
gets her
true.
face smashed in and just starts screaming and later gets torched by Leonardo DiCaprio in the pool.
Right.
And that's the first one. Like, oh, it's her. that should have like been a clue for me. Like, oh, right, she's insane and she's acting the same way basically in this movie.
Yeah.
Funny thing, she gets burned alive in this one as well.
Yes.
She doesn't die
The
in this
detail,
one, though.
they add hand sanitizer.
Yes.
Call back to the pandemic.
Yes, which is also very quick, like, because they throw a bottle at her and she's like, fucking hand sanitizer? But then they actually...
Which
it was
kind of strange, because they had like a glass bottle full of hand sanitizer in the kitchen. I guess could have that.
Yeah.
But
When you're cooking and you want to
It was
stay
a big
clean,
one.
yeah, I know. It had to be a little convenient so they could douse her in it.
Yeah.
But it's also nice that it actually came back and they used the hand sanitizer to set her on fire, which was nice.
Yes.
But right, so she's obsessed with the murders, because she's lived in the house and she's researched it.
Yeah, and she then becomes obsessed with the movies as well, obviously.
Yeah, and then she starts talking to this Richie character who's a big fan of the Stab series. Not specifically the Woodsboro murders, like she is, but he's a fan of the movies, the in-world Scream movies, Stab.
Yes. And much like a lot of other people, they hate number 8.
Yes. I don't remember,
because in Stab, in the Scream universe, we are on number 8 already.
Yes, and they make a big joke out of that one in Scream 4 because it opens with the opening of, I think it's Stab 4, 5, 6, and 7. I think there's
Something
a bunch
like
of
that,
false openings in that one, which is kind of funny.
It's kind of funny.
But in this one, it's number 8, and no one likes it.
No, because they went a completely new way. They had they changed Ghostface. He has a silver mask. He has cut off sleeves. He's muscular, and big, and brawny. And he uses a flamethrower instead of a knife.
Yeah.
It's like Jason 10.
we only see very small snippets of Stab 8 in this, but I got a Purge vibe from it.
Yeah, that or Jason X.
Yeah, well, that's in space, so.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. Which one is it that he's... Well, either of them, to be honest, where he just continues, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. But then, yeah, they so the big meta thing in this one is toxic fandom, which I was a little annoyed at, because some years ago, I was part of that fandom. Not really. I wasn't insane and bought all the fucking figurines and collector's editions. I buy some collector's editions, but that's mostly for the behind the scenes stuff. But I was involved in the whole fandom scene, especially with Star Wars. But because it got so, I don't like using the word, but toxic, I kind of stopped and I realized, but what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Why am I bitching and complaining endlessly about movies I don't like, instead of just watching movies I do like? And I kind of get out of it. But I mean...
People I watched today kind of commented on that bit.
Okay.
Because a lot of the Scream fandom are apparently annoyed at certain things, so much that they are starting to sound like they would prefer to make their own version.
Well, then that's kind of confirming what they're talking about in this movie.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing.
I always maybe it's because I'm out of that world, so to speak. But I was this whole toxic fandom thing. It's not really real. Saying I guess the most recent one is that Justice League fans are toxic. That's a small vocal minority, as we always talk about when it comes to any toxic whatever. When it comes to politics or social justice or whatever, it's always a vocal minority that then comes to represent the entire fandom or the entire whatever. But in general, I think fandoms are a good thing. It's just fans of the movie, even if they're a little obsessed and it's a movie. Come on, But like with the Justice League fans, like they were called toxic because they forced Warner Brothers to release the Snyder cut, and they called like Marvel fans, like told them to like kill themselves or whatever. Like, I'm sure some of them did, but in general, the Justice League fan. I mean, I guess that's where I dipped my toe back into the fandom. I suppose that's why I'm a little defensive. I mean, in general, they did something good. They managed to get Zack Snyder's version of Justice League released, which is my favorite movie of last year. Check out my letterboxd.
Yeah.
It's I'm unironically calling it like a modern classic. More than that some other time. But also, because they look up to Zack Snyder so much, they managed to raise like hundreds of thousands of dollars for like suicide prevention programs or whatever, because Zack Snyder's daughter committed suicide, and that's why he stepped away from Justice League in 2017. I mean, so they did a lot of good, and of course then some assholes have to ruin it for everyone, and that's
always going to be the thing, though.
Yes, that's the same thing. Like all the even like the big thing that made me stop being part of fandoms was Star Wars. It was specifically the sequel trilogy, and in particular then The Last Jedi, because I did not like it. Not for the reasons that everyone else seemed to dislike it. The whole it's the social justice movie, whatever. Yeah, I wasn't fond of that angle, but that wasn't the big problem with that movie. The problem with that movie was it's poorly written, even though people don't want to admit that. Whatever. The thing is that those two camps, then the pro Last Jedi people and the anti Last Jedi people, got so like they got all up in arms about it, and it became toxic. And people were just, years after The Last Jedi came out, they were still bickering about it. And I was like, why do we care? The movie came out. It's over.
People still do videos about it and
I know,
essays basically.
I know, and I talked about this on this channel. I did a little impromptu live stream just to start the year off. And I talked about specifically one of those people who has become super popular for some reason. Even though every video he makes is the same video. It's modern movies bad because SJWs.
Yeah.
I don't even mind. Critical Drinker. He's super popular. This little fandom group that he's involved in, they're all around 100 to maybe 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's always on YouTube. And they get a few thousand views per video. He has over 1 million subscribers, and his videos always get at least 500,000 views in under 24 hours. And some of it is jealousy. Yes, I wish I had that many views. But mostly it's just I don't get it. I know I do get it, but I wish he didn't. I get it because he's always saying what his fans want to hear. Yeah, so he's just pandering and making the same video over and over again and saying this is bad because of this is bad because of this. And I just wish, because he's stuck in this toxic fandom thing, because that's what he probably rakes in a lot of money that way. But imagine if he actually talked about things he liked instead, which he does maybe once every 10 or 15 videos. He talks about some crappy thing that he likes, and then he doesn't even point out something really good. He points out the League of Legends anime on Netflix, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. There's so much more qualitative, and nothing wrong if you like that, whatever. But I mean, he could talk about so much more quality entertainment than that. But he won't, because he knows that his audience doesn't want to hear that. They want to hear him complain about Marvel and Doctor Who and Star Wars.
And if he does, maybe he'll be a sellout or something.
Yeah. And now we got kind of off topic, but
yes.
Richie, the Jack Quaid's character in Scream 5, is that kind of character. He talks about, they ruined it. Some fans actually love this, blah blah blah. Now I want to kill people just to make my own sequel.
Yeah.
That's taking
they're
it
literally
even further.
So bad about the 8th movie in universe that they want to kill people who like it, and they want to kill people to make sure that they can rewrite rewrite. They want to reboot.
Yeah.
Go back to the classics.
Yeah. So that's kind of why they are trying to shape their like real world sequel after the original.
Because they know that, all the things in Stab, well, not all of it, but the original Stab movies are based on real life events.
Mm-hmm.
So why, if we give them new real life events, they'll
new material,
make a new real good movie.
Yeah. And I think even if yes, like toxic fandom is a thing, toxicity in fandoms is a thing, but I mean,
honestly, that's just psychos in this case,
and especially now that they're killing people and like also just like I don't know what you call it, stoking that fire and like calling out toxic fans in your movies, your Hollywood movies, the thing that toxic fanboys doesn't like it's just making it worse. I haven't seen any people like doing like, oh, this movie sucks because they call us toxic. I guess
I haven't seen that either. Most people are like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah,
this is what
to an extent they are right, but it's a little extreme. And
see, a normal reaction for a fan when a bad movie comes out is to write a fanfic.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah.
Amber would have been a Wattpad writer.
Yeah. In my days it was fanfiction.net, but yeah.
Or at least a fanfic writer.
Yeah.
She would have been oh my god, what's her name? What's the writer of 50 Shades of Grey?
Oh, E.L. James, yeah, with Twilight fanfiction.
Stephanie Myers or whatever. See? Yeah. That's what it should have been.
Yeah.
But no, they're both psychos, so instead they go, you know what? If we kill people the right way, make a thing out of it,
make a Stab 9
they'll make a proper Stab movie again.
Which I guess in this universe where people are crazy enough to kill people to make like cool stories about it. It fits in, I suppose. Yeah. It fits in. It was just a little like, they talked about toxic fandom. I mean, it hit a little too close to home. Even though I don't, like, I've stepped away from all that stuff. It's still like you shouldn't, like I said, you shouldn't stoke that fire. But I guess it made sense. And like I said, I guess it's an okay idea for how you would make another Scream and another Stab movie, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it works also because that is the argument that Amber uses when she's trying to like convince them not to kill her. She goes, "I was radicalized on the forums.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I'm just impressionable. Yeah, he seduced me, basically.
Yeah, which that's I guess that's more fun. Like how the internet in general is like toxic. Sure. Yeah. She uses that as a defense.
Will be very easily convinced by older guys, because Richie is older, to do dumb stuff for them.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny though, because she uses that. When Sidney and Gail are about to shoot her, and they're like, "You don't fool us," and she's like, "Fuck you," then shoots them instead. But then literally like a minute later, she is down again, and she's like, "Tries it again. Please try the exact same thing again." And that's when they set her on fire, basically.
But that's just to show that she is actually insane.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what else to do.
Yeah, and I mean, in that way, going back to what's good about this movie, in that way the writing works. Like, this is the kind of crazy characters that exist in the Scream universe, and their reason is, they have a reason, and the reason makes sense in a psychotic way, just like Billy and Stu wanted to be. Their idea is to first of all get revenge on all the people they hate, and then to kind of be the heroes in their own
their own story.
Yeah, which is similar to
the same with Jill in number 4. She just wants to be the hero. She wants to have the limelight.
Yeah, because she's living in the shadow of Sidney, the survivor.
Yeah, and the only way to make sure you become the main character, which is the thing people want to be nowadays.
Yeah.
Is to make sure you put yourself in center by, making things happen around you that would make you look like a main character.
Yeah. And that
Which
one
is
then,
also kind of toxic.
yeah, well, yeah, definitely, because that one kind of comments on the whole, which is still a thing, but I mean, it was kind of before its time, because in 2011, like, being famous for just being famous wasn't really a thing yet. Like, it was starting to become a thing.
We mentioned that in our video about this.
Yeah,
about the last...
like being like TikTok famous. You're famous
Yeah.
for basically nothing. And
famous for being you wasn't a thing back then.
And that's what Jill, or whatever her name was, wanted to do in the fourth one. She wanted to be famous, but she didn't really have, any discernible talent. So, well, I do have a famous
aunt?
Yeah, right, aunt. So how about I just like become like coast off of her fame, basically.
Look. Question here. It just makes me... I'm not sure I remember this. How the hell is she her aunt? How's the family tree working in that way?
Sidney has
Does Sidney have a sibling except for the one who dies in number 3? Or does he have a kid by then?
I don't know. I don't remember. I actually
don't remember. Plot
hole? I actually don't remember. They're cousins, aren't they?
Oh, they're cousins, right?
So it's her mother's sister's daughter.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Right, it's kind of like, I don't know what you call it, slut barn.
Yeah.
The same thing.
They got her a bit late.
Yeah, the same thing. Our mom's like youngest aunt is just a year older than her.
Yeah.
Because her mother, our grandma, had like 8 siblings, and so it was spaced out over a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing here. She's 30 and she's like 17, but whatever. They're cousins.
Yeah. Cousins, right? And not aunt, cousins.
No, cousins. Yeah.
That makes sense. Never mind.
A lot more sense. Yeah. And
because I found that a bit not working, but I want to do the maths here, because how old is Sam supposed to be in Scream 5? Because they say she left when she was 18, but she left for 6 years. That would make her 23. 18? Yeah, as soon as she got 18, she left, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's what
she was in her mid-20s. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's 25 years after the original murders. So she must be 25 or 26, basically.
Yeah, mid-20s.
But I think, by my math, she's only 23. I don't know if I'm remembering things wrong, but it feels like they're kind of retconning things somehow.
Maybe a little bit. And that's not, for me at least, that's not super important that the exact years are. She's in her mid-20s, whatever,
Yeah, I guess. It just stuck with me.
Sure, sure. I mean, it should be accurate, but it doesn't really.
No.
One
thing that should be accurate that is not is, why the fuck do they have a landline?
Yes, and that was my first like reaction when I saw the trailers. Like, who the hell has a landline today?
I think they even mentioned that in like Scream 4. Like,
nobody has landlines anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was 2011.
And also, she has these automatic locks because she can close them all with an app on her phone. Yeah. But when you see the locks, they are regular ass locks.
Maybe they've just retrofitted them with an automatic thing in the door. It's not like an actual like ring doorbell kind of lock, whatever. I don't know.
You should take or something. But as far as I know, that doesn't exist yet.
I don't know.
But the landline.
What the hell? I mean, speaking of our grandma, our 80-year-old grandma, even she hasn't had a landline for a few years now.
Exactly.
Like, what the hell? And why does she need? No, they need the landline so she can talk to Amber over text messages at the same time she's talking to the murderer. That's why.
Well, speakerphone is a thing.
Yep.
You can text while on a call on a cell phone.
I know. That's a nitpick, though, and it is a callback. So I guess I know why it's there, but it's like nobody has a landline anymore.
You could have just rewritten that so that she put the killer on speakerphone and texted Amber at the same time.
Yeah, I know, but whatever.
It's to have the whole, there's a signal coming from that thing on the counter over there, instead of, oh, it's my back pocket vibrating.
Yeah. Like, imagine...
No one puts sounds on their phones anymore. You just have vibration.
Yeah. Imagine if she was making popcorn at the same time. That would have been... Because she does the fondling the knife thing. She does that, like Drew Barrymore does.
And she does have like a pot on the stove that she eventually just puts in the sink.
Yeah.
But there's no popcorn, I know.
Yeah. Oh,
and they are talking about watching a movie with a friend. She and Amber are planning on having a movie night.
Right, yeah. And in that scene, like, just speaking about, like, commenting on the state of horror movies, they kind of make fun of Scream and slashers in general. Like, that's bad horror movie. I like elevated horror, which is that's a disputed term, I suppose, because what he asks her, what's your favorite scary movie? She says The Babadook. Great horror movie, by the way. Check it out if you haven't. Amazing.
I haven't seen it because I couldn't even see the first 10 minutes without getting scared.
Amazing horror movie. But she mentions Babadook, Hereditary, and It Follows, and she calls it elevated horror. Like, it's horror, like, you know, that stupid, silly horror genre, but it's better than that. But I mean,
it's just not a slasher.
Yeah, but speaking of that term, elevated horror, I think it's kind of bullshit, because even though Hereditary and The Babadook and The Witch and even It Follows, though I'm not a big fan of that, they're definitely more like intelligent, more complex, deeper, if you want to say that, than a movie like, well, not specifically Scream. Scream has always been well written, but like Friday the 13th. It's still in the same genre. They're still both horror movies. The same way fucking, I don't know, Under Siege 2, the Steven Seagal crap fest, is in the same genre as John Wick. But I don't call John Wick elevated action. No, it's action. It's just a better action movie than Under Siege 2.
I would separate them by doing slasher and horror possibly, but I wouldn't say it's elevated horror.
No,
it's still
because
just horror.
That's just elitist. I know it's silly to care about that, but it's just stupid. It's a horror movie. It's just a better horror movie than Friday the 13th or Stab, as they talk about in this one.
I think it's a bit of a commentary on the fact that nowadays we don't have a lot of slashers anymore.
No, and
this is the first in a long time.
And I guess that's also more of a slasher. There's more of a divide. There aren't really that many like middle ground horror movies. You either have the really bad ones, which aren't really bad though, like The Conjuring. The Conjuring movies are still fine, but they're not elevated horror. But then you have Midsommar and Hereditary and you know, The Witch, whatever.
Yeah, which is actually like they're works of art.
Yes.
Horror.
But I still don't think you should use a term like elevated horror. And I'm wondering if, since she does get stabbed in that scene, if they're like it's a dig at people who are like snobby about their horror. Maybe. Also,
because you know, she is the first victim in a slasher, in a classic old-timey like 90s horror.
Yeah, and
90s style horror.
And that too, the fact that this is a slasher, but it elevates the genre by, like we said in the beginning, actually having interesting characters, a well-written script with like a proper like mystery. It's not just gore for gore's sake. Exactly. So could you technically call Scream then elevated horror?
Is elevated slasher.
Yeah. Well, I suppose. Whatever. So that's why I think, don't say elevated horror. Just call it horror.
We should try and run this up with the final thing we were supposed to do here. Ranking.
Right. Well, I gotta just, speaking of terms, one more thing. This is a quick one. When the movie buff girl, the twin girl, calls What's Going On Now is a Re-quel, or she calls it something, Legacy-quel.
Yeah, something like that.
There, I gotta say that there is an actual term for that, and I thought everyone knew about that. But the whole like making a sequel that is basically a reboot of the franchise, but still acknowledges the legacy of the older movies, that's called a soft reboot.
Right. But you see,
I don't know. Maybe that's like an
that's not
industry
true
term.
anymore.
No, but
I
it's
think
no.
we call it
It's
a requel nowadays.
I've never heard anyone. I've heard the word Re-quel, but I've never heard anyone actually use it.
I
And I'm wondering then maybe soft reboot is more of an industry term, but I thought everyone said soft reboot because it is a reboot of the genre that still acknowledges the older movie. Reboot of the franchise, sorry, not the genre.
the
Reboot of the
genre.
franchise that still acknowledges the old movies, which really like it's been
Well,
around for a while, but it really kicked off with once again Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which was it
yeah.
was a reboot because it's basically a New Hope,
New events.
yeah, but with new characters.
Yeah.
And the old characters are still there. That was just I thought we just called it a soft reboot, not a legacy-quel or
See, I
requel.
think a requel is more of a it's a more direct continuation of the originals, but still introducing new people and new mysteries to be able to continue on as in a new sequel. Compared to where a soft reboot is like, this has happened, we acknowledge it, we still have some of the characters, but this is completely new.
So so would you call this a requel?
More so because the killings are connected to the original movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but that's the connection to the old movies. Like, is The
No,
Force
but they're
Awakens a soft reboot or a
connected.
requel then?
That's a soft reboot because
I
I mean,
don't,
even though the
I don't see the
events are
difference.
directly connected, it's still like it's been so long. It's a new, if I remember correctly, it's like a new war basically.
Yeah, but it's
But in
just
this one,
supposed to be.
it's more or less the same issue continuing on just in new people.
I don't know. I thought it was silly to make up new
It
words when there's a
it's a
perfectly fine
thin
word for
line,
it. Yeah.
but I think requel is also more of a Gen Z word. It works better
Yeah,
than a
well,
soft.
yeah. Once again, goddamn Gen Z making up stupid words to make it sound good. No, it's a soft reboot.
Well,
Um,
yeah,
is well,
I'm in between. I
it,
understand the choice of requel, but I can agree that it's sort of a soft reboot. But it feels like more than a reboot. It's a sequel more than a reboot.
I guess
That's why you
I guess we could
do the
actually like do a proper discussion about that, but we'll do that in a patron exclusive
yes.
episode. I guess quickly then just to bring back Ghost Bastards because that was funny to say. Ghost Bastards Afterlife, is that a soft reboot or a requel?
Soft reboot?
How are you distinguishing
I'm
this? I
not
don't
sure.
know.
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
You know what?
yeah, let's
We'll continue
forget
that
about
some
that.
other time.
I just hate it when she said,
Please,
oh, "It's a requel."
help us decide this by
Yes,
commenting or
please.
sending us a tweet or an Insta message or something.
If you're on YouTube, comment down below. What the hell is the difference between a soft reboot and a requel, or is it just the same thing and one is a Gen Z word and the other is a boomer word? Yeah, Twitter at don't make a scene _, at Lady Bixter.
Yeah, that's my Twitter.
Yeah. Comment, please. Comment. We'll link, of course. We'll have a link tree.
Or if you're following us on Instagram, you can always comment on the post, which will be up on Thursday.
Yeah.
Help us figure this out, because obviously we don't really know.
Yeah.
Now,
What are the difference, or is there really a difference? Now,
yes.
let's get into.
How would you rank me?
Yes. So let's
I
go.
think my ranking has changed quite a lot since we did the episode in
Okay.
fall.
Do you remember your old ranking, or do you have our rankings in front of you?
No, I think
Okay.
I remember mine.
Okay. I don't. Well, no, I do remember mine. I know. Yeah. So your ranking before number 5 was.
I believe I said 1, 2, 4, 3.
So that's from top to bottom.
Yes.
Yeah. So number 1 is the
but
best.
But there's
one.
like, 4 and 3 are very close.
Yeah, sure. Well,
but I prefer number 4 because it's closer to my age. And number 3 is a bit too much over the top.
Yeah, yes. Okay, now then.
Almost kind of that.
With number 5?
I would almost put number 5 as number 3. I think it's like by point 1 better than number 4.
Ooh, okay.
And it's definitely better than number 3.
Yes. Well,
So I would say it's 1, 2, 5, 4, 3 now.
well, then my ranking is gonna be very similar. I'm pretty sure my old ranking was, like you said, 1, 2, 4, 3.
Yeah, I think you had that
For a
too.
while, I liked the second one better, but then rewatching them last year when we did the podcast about it, the original is the best one by far.
Yes.
I still like the second one a lot, but it's not as good as the first one. Third one is terrible in comparison.
Yeah.
But the fourth one, it stepped it up, and I thought it was a good sequel. Now with the fifth one, it's probably 1, 2, 4, 5, 3. I still think the fourth one is better than the fifth one, mainly because those characters are millennials, so I could relate to them more than I could the Gen Z characters.
I think they're technically my age.
Yeah, well, we are technically in the same generation. It's just that I'm at the very edge of the boomer generation, because I'm just born, because that's from 76 to 84 or something. I'm born in 89. So I'm a very old millennial.
Gen Z and even the younger one, I don't even know what they're called. They're calling my age old millennials.
Exactly. Well, your age, old. You're like millennial.
I'm mid.
Yeah, you're a millennial.
But they're calling my age old millennials.
Well, that's another problem with Gen Z. They don't fucking understand anything.
Yeah. I mean, the Gen Z has been divided up in 3 generations because there's so many and so weird.
Yeah. No,
but I have to say also that Scream number 2 is actually falling slightly in points, but it's still just a little bit better than 5 and 4 because it is the sequel. It is the greatest sequel because it is the greatest sequel ever made in general.
Well,
in my opinion. In my opinion.
All right.
But 5 and 4 are really stepping up the game, that they're almost surpassing number 2 as a movie in and of itself.
So, okay.
Scream 2 is only winning points because it is a great sequel.
Sure. But we can both agree the third one is the worst.
Oh, yes.
And the first one is the best.
And the first one is... it's the original. You can never beat the original.
And I must say, that has gotten better and better the older I get. And the older that movie gets. It has aged like fine wine, even though it's very 90s. I mean, it's still the writing and directing is so good that it has still aged fine, even though it's very 90s.
I mean, it created a legacy of 25 years in the making without even having to do tons of movies.
Yeah,
it's still a what's it called, prerequisite for a lot of horror in general.
Yeah, and
is that the right word? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what you're getting, but I think you know what you mean.
The origin of a lot of great horror.
Yes, sure. I mean, it revived the horror genre, early to mid 90s. Horror. I mean, there were always good horror movies. There's always going to be good horror movies, but mainstream horror was just the worst.
Yeah,
that's when you had Leprechaun in the Hood. You had Hellraiser Bloodlines, which is Pinhead in space. Yeah. You had the Halloween 6, which is just one of the worst movies ever made. Mainstream horror was terrible. So then Kevin Williamson decided to write a horror movie about how bad horror movies are, and actually make a good horror movie out of it.
And in the works of it, creating the best horror villain, in my opinion.
One of them, sure, yeah. Which is,
in my opinion, the best.
Then, kind of funny, which we also talked about in our Patreon companion episode to Scream last year, where we talked about all the Scream ripoffs that came out in the wake of Scream, that really didn't get the point of Scream. They just started making bad slashers again. But still, that is why Scream, in my opinion, is a classic, because it revived the horror genre. The horror genre wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for Scream.
No.
And it has endured 25 years without really making a bad movie. I mean, the third one is pretty bad, but I mean, compared to its to its ilk. Like compared to Valentine, compared to I Still Know What You Did Last Summer,
I would watch
compared to
Scream
the
video
Urban
of
Legends
those
movies.
anytime.
Yes. Scream 3 is still a lot better than those movies. So even though it's the worst Scream movie, it's still fine. It's fine.
Yeah. It's just a bit over the top for the Scream movies, but for a horror movie, it's like
fine. Yeah.
It's better than most.
Yeah. So, and that's why I say you did a fourth one, which miraculously was great.
Yes.
You made a fifth one, which even more miraculously was not terrible. It was good.
Almost
in my opinion.
Great.
Yeah, almost great. Yeah. Don't push your luck.
Be careful about what you continue on here.
If you're gonna make another one, be very careful.
I mean,
I guess we're talking to Hollywood in general. Just be careful.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't ruin the Scream franchise.
Plus points if you bring back Kirby, just like you brought back Hicks.
Yes.
But I don't know if Sam and Tara are final girl material. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Honestly, I think Amber would have been a better final girl, even though she's psycho.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna have to be it, I think.
That's it.
Thank you so much for listening. Where's my music?
I don't know.
There it is. Oh, right, sorry. So, thank you so much for listening.
Or watching.
If you're watching on YouTube, of course. Want to say once again, if you want to listen to this in advance, well, now you can't, but you could have.
In the future.
Yeah, and if you want to hear us talk more about the year of 2021 and probably talk a little bit more about Scream, check us out on Patreon. Links everywhere. For only $3 a month, you get the exclusive episode, you get the commentary tracks, you get early access to other podcasts. You get to pick what we talk about on the podcast. There are other tiers. There's a $1 tier if you just want to, contribute a little bit. Or there's a stupid $10 and $5 tier, that $20 tier. That doesn't really get you anything else. But if you just want to support us even more.
But even the like, follow, and comment.
Of course. Just liking and subscribing on YouTube, following on all the other podcast platforms. You can even now you can score. You can give a score on Spotify. I think only on the mobile version though, the mobile app, you can give a 1 to 5 score. Give us a 5-star there, And don't forget to listen every Thursday for free on all the platforms and every Monday on Patreon. And we'll see you in the next episode. But until then, have a good one. Bye.